Hello, amazing and wonderful children. So moving on to number 3 for the homework, and we have f of x equals 3x minus 1 over 7. And I hope you realize that this is in fact not a rational function. This is actually a, yes it is. It is a linear function. So the thing is because there are no values for x that are going to cause any troubles, because there is nothing in the denominator that's ever going to be equal to 0, because the denominator is always 7. So therefore that is not going to happen. So now when we move on, we can now look and say, okay, well it's 3x minus 1 over 7, and this is a linear function. And if you were to break it down, you can go ahead and divide each term upstairs and do 3x over 7 minus 1 over 7. So if I said to you, what's the slope of the line, you guys would be like, oh, the slope is equal to 3 over 7. Your y-intercept is going to be negative 1/7, which is all well and good. So what you should already realize and know is that your slope is always going to be 3 over 7. Okay? And what we're now going to do is we're going to verify it using our general slope formula that it will in fact equal 3 over 7. So when I do my f of x plus h, isn't this a pretty color blue? It's like a marine blue. So it's going to be 3 times x plus h minus 1 all over 7. So that's going to be 3x plus 3h minus 1 all over 7, and that's our f of x plus h. So we have 3x plus 3h minus 1 all over 7 minus 3x minus 1 all over 7, and that's going to be all over h because that is our general slope, right? Here's our f of x plus h minus f of x all over h. And now, strangely enough, we have a denominator up here. There's a little denominator, and we're calling that little dude 7, right? So if I said to you, what is the common denominator, I hope every knucklehead in the room is saying, well, it's a 7. It is a 7. So in order to make it go away, we can multiply the top and bottom by, that's correct, by 7. So if I multiply the top and bottom by 7, I'm going to multiply this by 7, and I'm going to multiply that by 7. And I hope at this stage of the game you guys realize that my 7s cancel, because when I say 7 over 7, I'm technically doing like 7 over 1 over 7 over 1. That's literally what I'm almost doing, which is what I was doing with the other stuff before when I was doing the rational function stuff. So for example, let's just take a quick back look over here. I'm almost doing this over 1, and I'm doing that over 1, which is still 1. So that's telling you that, you know, you're taking this is your numerator, and this is your denominator for the upstairs, and that's why this will cancel out with this when you distribute, and why this will cancel out with that when you distribute. So for those of you who weren't sure why, maybe that will help, okay? So now when I'm doing it, it's like 7 over 1 times 7 over 1, okay? And that lets you know that this is a numerator and this is the denominator for upstairs. So if I were to just like cover that up, if I multiply this by 7, I'm just left with this. If I multiply this by 7, I'm just left with that. But again, be careful of that wicked negative sign because you're subtracting the entire quantity, so you're going to want to use parentheses, okay? So when I do that, so when I do this times this, I just know I'm going to get 3x plus 3h minus 1 minus parentheses 3x minus 1, right? And that's going to be all over 7h, okay? Because blah, 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 because I'm just multiplying those two downstairs. So now the reason why I, again, have you guys have this negative sign through is because I'm multiplying through by a negative 1. And when I do that, I have 3x plus 3h minus 1 minus 3x plus 1. And that's going to be all over 7h. So what happens again, remember, everybody cancels out, if you noticed, except for that 3h. So that cancels out with that cancels out with that. And if things don't cancel, you'll always know if you did something wrong. So you wind up with a 3h over a 7h. And because you can cancel out the h's, you wind up with 3/7, which is what we said the general slope is going to be anyway, because we know that this is in fact a linear function whose y-intercept is like negative 1/7. And you're going up 3 into the right 7. So it's going to look something along the lines of this. So therefore, it's always going to have a constant slope. Okay.